What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into the show. There was a small surge today in crypto prices. Actually, the last couple of days, we've headed back to the upside. Bitcoin back up above $124,000 per coin. Ethereum making that little scoop back up above 4,500. Here is the question. Number one, why are we surging today? And is this going to be an actual rally that takes us back to new all-time highs, or is this what you call a dead cat bounce and our lower levels coming? Also, as the stock market continues to surge, gold continues to hit new all-time highs, stocks are going up. There's a rumbling in the internet right now of a question about a bubble being popped in the stock market. What do you guys think? Let me know in the poll we have in the chat right now. We are live today. It is Wednesday, October 8th, and I can't wait to get into the content of today's show. If you guys are ready, if you're excited, smash that like. And also, as we are a brand new channel again, because we had to start over, make sure as you're watching this that you are hitting that subscribe button and sharing this with your friends. Let's get back up towards that 60,000 subscriber mark very quickly, but we need your help. Smash subscribe. I am joined, as always, by the rest of my crew. I got Shrum. I got Smay. Boys, how are we feeling today?
Oh, Tim, I'm feeling great. I'm super excited for this weekend where I will be flying to the great city that is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I will be watching the greatest football team in history play football against the worst football team in history, the Browns, the Cleveland Browns.
Okay. I don't know if
I'm
we've
really looking
fact-checked those statements, but, opinions are welcome,
I mean, I don't know what other metric other than Super Bowls, baby. We are tied for number one, baby. All right.
Okay.
In the NFL,
So you're saying
the
you're
highest
not
level
number
of
one. You're
football.
tied for number one. You share number one.
Semantics,
Okay, good.
But
Just want to be
like,
clear.
who's talking about the Patriots right now? Nobody's talking about the Patriots.
But you know what made the Steelers great? Jerome Bettis.
Yeah,
Heyo.
at one point in their winningest history, yes, that is true.
That's true.
But
It's very true.
I mean, like, what other metrics? Steelers, we have the most Super Bowls in the highest level of football. What do you got? What are you talking about? All right. So, anyways, I'm doing great. Shrub,
Good.
how you doing?
Man, I'm better than I deserve. The market seemed to be getting a bit of relief after yesterday's AI bubble scare. We'll be talking a little bit more about that. If you are in our trading group, you got an earful of my thoughts on this presumed AI bubble. I'll be sharing my expanded thoughts here on the live show in just a few minutes too. So better than I deserve. And I think the question is AI better than it deserves? So.
That's a good question. Really quickly, having some fun in chat. If you are a fan of an NFL football team, drop your team in chat. Give us your honest remarks about Smay's Steelers. And the last thing I'd say about that is go Bills. Now we're going to move on and talk a little bit of cryptocurrency. The Bills had a rough weekend losing to New England. That's who's talking about New England, us Bills fans. Disappointing loss here. Crypto is pumping here over the last couple of hours. Let's take a look at the bubbles here first. Take my face down or make me small here. A big sea of green today, with the biggest one being this COAI coin. COAI, I don't know what it is. I did a little bit of research on it, and it is a project, a newer project that was just listed on Aster. So it is up, I think actually it was up 600 and something percent. Over the last couple of days. It's actually down today, but still up 84%. That kind of leads the biggest bubble. ZEC is up there, Mantle's up there, but for the most part, it's actually funny, Aster over here in the red, but most part, we got a lot of green coming in here. You can go ahead and bring me back on screen, Smay. What I want to discuss here is what's going on the charts. Now, as we're making this video, right, we titled this, we came up with a title an hour and some change ago, while Bitcoin was breaking to the upside. In fact, Bitcoin, like I said, got back above $124,000 here just a little bit ago. The question is, what happens next? And I'll be honest with you, even right up front, I have some concerns, but I don't actually feel like I'm really certain about what's happening. Just a couple of hours ago at noon, I was live with our VIP trading group, and if you were part of that VIP trading group, you'll remember we kind of discussed in that chat. We said, there's some cautious reasons to be optimistic. This isn't a situation right now where we want to short the markets, but it's not a really one we want to long either. We did look at a short little long position on H-bar. I actually didn't get entered in, but anyone who did from our trading group, good news for you. I wanted to wait for a pullback to 21.6 cents, but I did say, hey, take your profit at 22.1. Look at what H-bar did in the last couple of hours, running right up to that TP1. So anyone who's in that chat who entered aggressively before I did, congratulations to you. But where I am right now is very peculiar spot. We clearly are surging on Bitcoin. You can see, again, the last couple of hours here, going back to yesterday, we bottomed out around 120,600. Now we've been surging for the last 24 hours and change, and we got back up. And we didn't just do that. You can see here, this was drawn before 2 o'clock today when we made this breakout. This was a troubling formation. One of the reasons why I was telling our community, be cautious here about longing too much right now, because we're forming a rising channel on Bitcoin. And this is something that more than likely, again, according to technical analysis, not according to any type of real promises, but technical analysis history would suggest you're more likely to break to the downside after a formation like this. However, it does happen where the resistance is broken. And what you're looking for, and this is what really muddies the waters for me right now, what you're looking for when you have a rising channel to get a break in the upside, you need to see a confirmation of volume come in. And guess what we have going on right here? We're down on the 1 hour chart, but as the candle broke above this resistance level, we saw an uptick in volume to levels we had not seen since back here yesterday around 11 a.m. during a big crash where we were confirming selling. What this signals to me is it's not just a bunch of boring buyers. Bulls came alive here during the 1 to 2 o'clock slot, and they pushed through resistance, kind of confirming this is a big move. Now, we've kind of consolidated back down. The next thing you want to see to confirm this is multiple candles opening and closing above this level of resistance. We failed that during the 2 o'clock window here. We came back down, closed back at 123,467. So this is not definitively saying anything either way. When I look at the oscillators right now, I also am kind of still at a pause. The 1 hour chart's not necessarily overextended to a level it needs to crash, but I'm also not necessarily seeing any type of real momentum here. The money flow is kind of just trickling sideways, not really telling us if it wants to kind of smash to the upside or go to the downside. Same story as I creep up and I look at things like the 4 hour chart, where I actually see some positivity coming from the MACD and a green dot from Luxalgo. But you can see here the money flow hasn't decided. Does it want to kind of curve back and go up? Do we want to see money flow coming back into space? Or will it continue its trend from back here on the 4th where we are trickling to the downside? We are in a no man's land situation where we need to kind of watch what confirms. Some other things that I'm kind of worried about right now is while the money flow on the 12-hour chart is positive, you do start to see a little bit of a rounding happening on money flow on the 12-hour and the daily chart. And with those charts both already having red reversals and gray dots, you're on the cusp, the potential of a sell signal. Now, if the sell signal, you hit the wrong button there. If the sell signal came in on the daily chart, you would have to go ahead and start having some concerns about a possible pullback as low as $113,000. Going over to the 1 hour chart, turning on liquidations, you're going to see there's actually the reason why that's kind of an interesting spot to watch is there are some interesting liquidations that come down towards those levels. But I don't think the daily chart's the one I'm really concerned about. I think it's more the 12-hour chart that I would say the next great support level is going to be in the camp of roughly $118,000. This is another one. Let's turn on liquidations and go back over here to the 1 hour chart. There you can see a whole handful of liquidations down towards that $118,000, sub $118,000 level. Shrum in yesterday's show kind of even talked about it with his group doing the news updates, and I kind of side with him. The only problem is you don't necessarily just yet have your confirmed sell signal on the 12-hour chart. You see a lot of weakness. You see it ripe for a big sell-off to happen, but that money flow continues to trickle to the upside. And until that money flow turns over and goes to the downside, you don't really feel confident about entering a short. You might want to be patient and wait for it. But anyone who's entering shorts right now, I caution you, there are things happening on lower time frames like the 1 hour and 4 hour that are confusing right now, that are kind of sitting here saying either way is possible. We could start to see money flow in, continuing the surge we have today, bring it back to the upside, confirming a buy signal from Luxalgo with a 4 hour surge happening that could take us back up towards those all-time highs. Or we could see it keel over and continue to the downside. Continue to pay attention to this. This is going to be very important. Do we maintain this position up towards resistance, or do we begin to fall back down? What I would be looking for is breaking this green line, coming to the downside, bringing in some extra volume there as well. Then in that case, now we're talking about shorts on Bitcoin, where we go from 122 all the way down towards $118,000. But right now, whales are showing signs of fighting, and it's not just Bitcoin that we see volume like this popping in on. I also noticed it happening on coins like Chainlink. Over here, you can see we had a nice little level of flat resistance in here, but after flirting with it on low volume here around 10 a.m. this morning, this candle right here at 12 o'clock poked through that resistance, closed above, gave us excessive volume, telling us this was big money actually coming in, not just boring trades where no one was selling. Big money came in buying this. We now have closed several candles above this resistance level. The only problem, we're rejecting right now on a longer term level of resistance. We do need to finally get a breakthrough there as well. Other coins with some volume coming in here, maybe not Ondo. Let's take a look at some others. I think Ethereum, nope, not Ethereum. There's some others here. There we go. Sui, you can see big volume coming in as we're breaking some resistance levels. H-bar had a nice little run again with that trade. Should have stuck it out there because the volume came in on that candle with that big breakout. I would have had a successful trade there. Long story short, a lot of the crypto space right now did have a nice surge in the last couple of hours that had some confirmation volume happening. What happens next is going to be the big question. I cannot tell you right now with 100% certainty, yes or no, will we see a massive surge, or will this end up becoming a dead cat bounce and moving to the downside? But the ultimate why are we surging today? Because we had a great discount on prices yesterday with a lot of tokens crashing to levels we hadn't seen in a couple weeks. And all of a sudden, some whales got a little happy, started buying the dips, and now we're deciding what happens next. Someone says fix the camera focus. I think my camera focus is okay. Smay, is my camera okay?
Yeah, looks
good.
Talking,
Yes.
you are muted.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Don't know what it is, Matt Shank. I don't know what's happening there. Let's kind of change focus here for a second before we get into some more conversation with altcoins. Now, it's pulling back over the last 3 hours or so, but take a look at what gold is doing, just nonstop ripping to the upside. If you are watching this channel, we cover mostly cryptocurrencies. We are going to talk more stocks in the future. In fact, today, I think we're going to have a whole section where we're talking about that stock potential bubble. But I want to remind you guys that if you were to go all the way back into August, we told you / warned you with gold breaking out. And let's turn this line red just for resistance to make it easier on newer investors. We told you after breaking out above this level, a massive rally of a bull pennant could be in order here for gold because of the massive rally that started between December and April. You move that flagpole over, and we have a target of $4,200 per gold. Now, there were comments left afterward, Tim, you're crazy. There's no way gold's going to rally that fast, that aggressively. Are you looking at the same chart I am? I mean, that is showing almost no signs of stopping from gold whatsoever. Yeah, here or there you have a blue candle giving us a bearish day for 1 or 2 days in a row, but gold just continues to rip and rip and rip to the upside. I'll tell you right now, we're going to see it being overextended. You're going to see it running into, we're stretching out the red reversal cloud on the daily chart. If I look at the Luxalgo oscillator, a major bubble of money flow is forming. However, it continues to tick to the upside. You know, we're in danger right now of potentially forming some form of bearish divergence on Luxalgo oscillator. But when you look at the RSI, that's really not saying it's what's happening whatsoever. We continue to set higher highs in price action and higher highs in oscillator action. So this continues to make me believe on the daily chart, we are not overextended. If you're thinking, man, I better go enter a short on gold, or let me take profit right now. Hey, listen, first of all, you do you because it's your money. You decide when you want to take profit. I don't think it's the dumbest thing in the world to take profit on gold at the moment. But if you're thinking that's because a major sell signal is coming in, think again. That daily chart is telling us this run is not quite over. Even the weekly chart, we're stretching that red reversal band a whole lot, but we're not seeing money flow negative. We're not seeing reversal signs come in. We're not seeing bearish divergence. We are seeing a bubble form. And at a certain point, I do think these bubbles will cause some form of a reaction. This one didn't do it that much, right? The last time we had a bubble on the weekly chart, we just kind of traded sideways between April and August. But this is one developing right now. I do think gold will have some form of a correction in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. I just don't think the rally is over just yet. What happens with that gold? That's going to be a big question. This is what brings us back into crypto. Go off my screen here for a second, Smay. We continue to hear even TradFi analysts talk about how Bitcoin is digital gold and how right now when you compare the two, Bitcoin is dramatically undersold or underbought compared to Bitcoin and compared to gold. Wow, I am fudging my words up here. Effectively, right now, if I'm looking at these two assets and saying which is the better investment, even TradFi is saying Bitcoin is clearly on the charts in a better spot. We've talked about this for a long time, but at some point, will we see gold bugs take heavy profit on an asset that has a limited upside because of how fast it's rallied and go look for something more lucrative to invest in? The first and obvious signal would be go take a look at Bitcoin, along with the rest of the crypto space. I'm not promising you that's going to happen, but it's going to be an interesting theory to watch as we are looking at an overextended gold daily and weekly chart, bubbles being formed, a massive rally happening. Meanwhile, Bitcoin, it hit a new all-time high just a week or so ago, but overall, it's kind of more suppressed. It's kind of staying still in a little spot. Is it waiting for a massive surge of gold bugs to transfer some of their profits into Bitcoin? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The last thing I want to do here before we break into the news, let's go take a look at a chart that we actually haven't looked at here in a bit on Bitcoin. Let's turn off our Luxago oscillator. Let's take a look at the M2 money supply. This is one of the biggest reasons also things are surging. The stocks are going to continue to surge. Gold's going to continue to surge. And Bitcoin and others will continue to surge. Why? Because they continue to print money. And as long as you have air in your lungs, you can believe me, governments will print money like they want a lot of it. And that's what we see happening right now. And the update here, while we're not following M2 money supply perfectly like we once were earlier this year, you can see, we talked about a two-wave down movement we thought would happen late September into October. Turns out we decided to start that one early in August. But just like the M2 money supply with this two-leg down movement, we kind of had the same thing happen here with Bitcoin after hitting new all-time highs in August. Now is that over? Do we see a run happen into when? Well, at this point, about early December, but if we're delayed here or early, maybe late December is when we actually see the next little top here. M2 money supply still suggesting that we should be seeing upside swings for Bitcoin over the next couple of months, but we'll keep you posted on if anything changes on that front. With that said, it's going to end my technical analysis planned. We'll probably have some time later in the show for some Q&A. So make sure throughout the show, comment, what do you guys want to look at some charts on right now? I'll spoil it for you, though. Just like Bitcoin and some of the other altcoins I looked at, I'm optimistic, and I'm still very long-term bullish. I'm not selling any of my long-term bags. But if you're asking me right now, Tim, are you aping into a bunch of long trades where you're buying up these dips, maybe on some sort of leverage or something? No, I'm not. I am going to continue to monitor what's happening because right now we are in a spot where things could continue to surge to the upside as we have done it today, or we could find out that this was a dead cat bounce and we have a little bit lower to go before the next bottom is in and we rally to the upside. What do I do in that time frame? I've been buying dips on spot. If you think I stopped buying crypto, you're wrong. I'm buying on these dips. I'm just not entering any long-term leverage trades in the crypto space because that's just not what you do. You wait for confirmation and before you make those bigger plays. That being said, there was some big news coming out in the crypto front. I want to get Shrum's take on it here in a second, but there was some big news from Cointelegraph. Go to my screen here, Smay. Latest, Athena and Jupiter are teaming up to release JupUSD, Solana's native stablecoin. Now, Jupiter is a coin that we haven't talked about a whole lot in a while, but about a year ago, this was a coin we monitored and said this could have massive, massive potential to the upside in the next couple of years. It's looking like that is actually coming to be. But for more on that, Shrum, what are you taking away from this headline? What does this mean for any crypto holder and investor right now?
Well, it's a big boon for Solana and a really big boon for Jupiter. The fact that Jupiter's not moving on this news just kind of speaks to the sentiment right now in crypto. That switch has just not flipped on for altcoin season quite yet. Uh, Wake me up when there's something new to tell me, right? That's not news to anybody. Now, when it comes to Athena, that is also very big for Athena. So this is a partnership where Athena and Jupiter are going to work together to put a native stablecoin on Solana. Very cool, very interesting in terms of, what does that mean for Circle, which meant a lot on Solana. My guess is it probably doesn't mean a whole lot for Solana. It just means a little bit for Jupiter. But I don't see this new stablecoin doing too much competition with Circle initially. Maybe down the road, there's a use case for it that's for some reason Circle can't meet. So interesting. I think it's probably just the biggest for Jupiter, but Athena definitely should see some price action to the upside the next time the sentiment in crypto is a little more euphoric, a little more exuberant. But very bullish, very bullish.
Yeah, we'll have to continue to monitor what's happening there with Jupiter. It is one that I did drop from my portfolio earlier this summer for some other tokens, but I'm going to continue to monitor this one because that might be one worth adding back into the bag here a little bit later on. We're going to transition here away from crypto for just a second. I know people are asking questions right now. We're going to look at Chainlink TA a little more in depth here in just a couple of minutes. Daniel Pearson's also saying, can we look at Tau and Render? We might look at one of them. Also, H. Bardano Bean saying, Tim, I bet I can deadlift more than you. We shall see. What do you lift there, H. Bardine? Reply in the comments, and I'll let you know if you're beating me on a deadlift. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you my number, but I'm not going to say it before you say yours first. But if you beat me, I'll let you know. Let's transition here a little bit, though, into the stock world. Again, as we mentioned earlier in the show, there are rumblings and concerns right now that potentially the stock world, especially in the AI realm, could be in for some form of a bubble. I asked you guys early in the show, if you haven't voted on that poll, I'm interested in your guys' thoughts here. But I said, are you concerned about a stock bubble popping? Yes, big crash coming. 38% of you saying yes, no, the economy is positioned well. 56% of you are saying that, and 6% of you are saying, what is a bubble? Well, before we answer the question, what is a bubble? Let us know, Shrum, are the community right now? 56% are not worried about this bubble, but what do they need to know, and what should they be looking out for over in the stock world?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely some mysterious things going on in AI. Jump over to my screen. This graphic here illustrates pretty well why a lot of analysts in the AI category are left scratching their heads. You see a lot of back and forth of money. There's a lot of money being invested from Microsoft into CoreWeave, and CoreWeave's investing it into NVIDIA. NVIDIA's turning around and investing it into OpenAI, which, by the way, is investing into NVIDIA and CoreWeave and Microsoft. So there's a little bit of confusion here, and I do believe that there is some mystery. There is some unanswered questions here, but I don't think that this is going to result in a bubble. I'll tell you all why here in just a second, but let's continue to lay the table here. Oracle had a massive, if you'll recall, just a few weeks ago, back on September 9th, early in September, had a massive 32% spike. It would then give a lot of that back and then make a move higher. And now it's kind of settled somewhere around, take a look, drum roll please, 20% still up to live price. I don't think that this is a bubble that has popped, if it's a bubble at all. So Oracle here, one example of big upside movement, of course, NVIDIA from these lows back here, the similar time frame, early September up to the highs, 16%. And this is the biggest company in the world, a $4 trillion company. I believe it was only 10 years ago that Apple hit 1 trillion for the first time, and now we have a 4 trillion and change company trading in New York. It's pretty incredible. Tesla also getting in on the action. Today there was a headline that NVIDIA is investing into XAI. So Tesla, of course, gets a little bit of a pump on that in its proximity to Elon and XAI. And then AMD, not shy, getting in a little bit late as well here. But this is another big chip maker that in some categories competes with NVIDIA. But you can see from just a few days ago on the 6th, this is now up 41%. AMD just kept on going. Was there a pullback? There absolutely was. But ultimately, what we saw yesterday, going back over to Oracle, was this red candlestick. This red candlestick caused a bit of a kind of a a shock throughout the markets. Investors were filled with fear as they read headlines that said Oracle shares drop after report suggesting the company took $100 million loss from NVIDIA chip rentals. So this is essentially what led to that red candlestick yesterday and led to continued pressure being put on CEOs of like Jensen Huang and Sam Altman over at OpenAI, and the list goes on. But asking the question, putting the pressure on, what are these valuations? Hundreds of billions of dollars valuations. What are they really producing? Are we getting a parlor trick with these chatbots, or is there something actually coming here? Is there something more? So, Tim, I obviously have an answer. I have some thoughts on whether or not we're in an AI bubble, but I want to throw it over to you. What are you seeing? What are your thoughts on this? Are you indifferent? And do you think that this really would affect crypto if there was to be a bubble pop?
The first thing that you need to understand is whenever people start throwing the term bubble around, let's make sure we're very clear on what that implies and what that means. We had 6% of people who kind of said, oh, what is a bubble? Now, some of them might have been saying it in jest, but in the chances there's one person out there who genuinely has no idea what we are mentioning when we're saying bubble, I want to kind of briefly explain it like I'm explaining it to a second grader. And that would be ultimately when you have massive money flowing into an asset, and it kind of gets over leveraged and overbought, and there's no negativity whatsoever. Effectively, let's just say this asset was really worth about this much. I'm going to show you visually. It's worth this much, but the price action has shot way higher. You create this bubble where everyone is bought, but a lot of people want to start taking profit to make some money, but they're convincing the brand new investors to continue to buy because everything's so good. That bubble eventually pops and it crashes the market, the price of it down, not just even to the true valuation. A lot of times it's so severe, it goes even lower. Think about the stock market, especially the housing market back in 07, 08. There's that whole movie made about it, The Big Short, where effectively real estate was doing really well. If you're a real estate agent, you were making a lot of money because they were selling houses like crazy, dishing out mortgages, and people are going to massive debt. But eventually the piper has to be paid. And it turns out we got too high, too fast. People began to short the market. People began to dump real estate, and the suckers left at the top who bought these houses at crazy prices got left up there as the whole market crashed, starting a recession that would last for a couple of years, hurting the stock market. Of course, crypto was not around just yet. Actually, it's one of the reasons why crypto was invested later in 09. But in a nutshell, it is an overpriced asset class that doesn't deserve to be that high, and it gets popped. That bubble pops, and you see a massive correction, a massive crash. Do I believe AI is in a bubble at the moment? No, I do not. Number one, because the majority of people do not talk about bubbles when bubbles are actually forming. It's the minority of people that talk about bubbles when bubbles are really forming. In 07, no one was discussing the potential for a crash in the real estate market. Otherwise, you would have seen a whole lot of more shorts and people taking profit in that market long before a crash happens. There's a lot of very intelligent people out there who see these things coming, and they will always let you know early. Excuse me. They will not let you know early is actually a better way to put it. When everyone screams crash, 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 the likelihood of a crash coming, very slim. It's the moments when no one is telling you a crash is coming. It's a moment when everyone is getting very excited and bullish about an asset that you should be most worried. Why? Because that's the whole point of a bubble. A bubble is where everyone is bullish. It's way overinvested. It's so high and so exciting that nobody dares speak negatively about it whatsoever. That's when bubbles pop. But right now, as you are seeing, yes, a surge in the stock market. Things are going up, but yet you have all these people from different corners saying, watch out, this is 07 all over again, massive bubble coming. That actually leads me to believe we're probably going to continue to surge to the upside. When I look at the chart, for example, Oracle here, there's a couple things that I'm looking at, going to my screen here, Smay. People are going to be very concerned. If I can go there, people are going to be very concerned about this big gap in the market here where we closed on Tuesday the 9th down all the way at $241 a share, and then opened up on the 10th all the way up towards 318, creating what we call a big gap. There were people with orders in the middle of here that did not get filled because the market makers just jumped the price to the upside. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times these gaps get filled. Not clearly the gap, or at least just yet, the gap set back in June where we jumped from 176 all the way up to 188 and just kept going. But as you see the pullback happening, that's got to be where you're kind of watching and saying, hey, possibly Oracle could make its way all the way back down to that level at 242, close this gap, and then continue its way to the upside. That wouldn't be terrible whatsoever. But what's interesting is I'm not even convinced that that necessarily has to happen. Why? Because while we have gotten sell signals back here, you can see we opened up back here on the 10th, got a red reversal, bearish momentum. The money flow was flowing to the outside, and I could have told you a pullback was happening. Look at how the money flow now has gotten into an oversold territory. We aren't necessarily flowing back positively, but we're pretty stinking low at this point. And yet price action really kind of just dwindled to the sideways movement. This looks like almost a reloading effect. And if the populace, if the majority of retail investors like you or me are convinced that I need to wait for 242 to buy in, guess what whales or manipulators do with that type of information? They might even come down a little lower, but they don't let retail get their buy spots. I would not be surprised at all to see a surge on Oracle back to the upside as the left, or I say left, I don't mean that politically, as the majority of the news right now is concerned about a bubble. As you see these scary headlines, the people with the heads on their shoulders, the whales, they are sitting here saying, man, this is not even the beginning of what AI is capable of, with companies like Oracle are capable of. I wouldn't be surprised to see them buy above the expected dip back to 242 and to rally to the upside. By the way, weekly chart kind of showing us we're kind of just getting going with money flow flowing to the upside. This has been flowing positively since back in June, but it's not showing signs of stopping. Even bearish divergence that happened here not that long ago have shown to not necessarily be the strongest indicator. That bearish divergence, by the way, coming in on Lux Algo, not on MACD, not on the RSI. I don't want to tell people yes or no, but I want to tell people right now, best case scenario, I think you'd be thrilled to get a purchase back at 242. I'm just not convinced based on how these things play out if we can actually get all the way down to that level. So play that rightly. I would tell you right now, if I'm buying Oracle, I'm probably spot buying a little right now to be safe. And then I have another buy order for just in case if 242 does end up happening, have that there on the table. But I'll kind of say it again, just for those in the back of the room. Whenever people become convinced that a price action has to happen, that's the most likely scenario that it doesn't. So be careful out there if you're waiting for a major pullback on these AI stocks and you're waiting for a pullback on coins like or stocks like Oracle. You might get a lot more bullish action before that big correction everyone's predicting.
Yep. I love it. And there's also so much more to this too. You do want to think about AI, artificial intelligence, as a national security tool as well. And you do have to ask the question, isn't capitalism at that point? Has it kind of left the realm of capitalism if the United States government and other governments are going to start thinking about this tool as a national security priority, right? And is it a show of weakness for companies, right, that run these AI systems, stock price to be going to the downside, right? So we're getting into a little bit of crazy land. You kind of have to, keep your head on a swivel and try to understand this and keep up with it. This is what I do in the morning news in our trading group, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every single day, I deliver the news, the headlines that's going to move the markets, and the news that's not going to move the markets that you can just go ahead and push off to the side. So I explain it all, and I'd love to have you join us there at 10 a.m., that morning crew. We do it huge. It pops off. Have a lot of fun.
Here we go. Let's get into some Q&A time. If you guys have other questions you have about whether this is the stock market, about cryptocurrencies, about other things in general, let us know, and we will be able to answer them the best we can. We got some time here to answer chat. I wanted to save some time for more TA, starting off with Chainlink. Now, we looked briefly at it, very briefly at it, but let's go a little bit more in depth. Chainlink had a little bit of a disappointment here. We were tracking last week a big breakout above resistance on the daily chart here, above resistance and a falling channel pattern that's been in effect since back in mid to late August, back on the 23rd here. What did I tell you guys back then? Even though I was excited about this breakout, I said, let's get some increased volume to come in. And we actually did have some volume on the daily chart come in, but I said, let's get at least one, but preferably 2 to 3 candles to open and close above that red line. Unfortunately, yesterday on the 7th, Chainlink, while opening up at 23.38, would crash all the way back down to 21.82, kind of giving us a little bit of a fake out situation right there, which we need to monitor. I'm not saying we're far away from a big rally coming on Chainlink. I'm just saying we did have a failed breakout just yesterday that could have been a lot bigger, but we're going to have to continue to wait for that over the long haul. Let's see what the charts are kind of telling us from Oscillator, some good support and resistance to keep an eye on. Starting here on the daily chart, money flow started going positively, right? So this is one of the reasons we were bullish. We had green reversal, bullish momentum, and positive money flow. We got back above the threshold. This is one of the reasons why we were optimistic. We entered in longs. We did get to take some profit on TP1, but we're out of those trades right now. We had targets to the upside coming all the way back up towards $25. Of course, that ended up falling flat, and now we've come back to the downside. The support continues to stay right in here. High end 2136, but low end with both a breaker block and the smart trail on the daily chart still in this camp down here. 955 is still on the table. It's got to be talked about. I know a lot of people are sitting here saying, I'm just ready for my coins to make me money. I'm ready to go to the upside. And you know what? If it was a vote, I would vote right now. I will go to the ballot for all of you and vote everyone buy crypto to make price action go up. Checkbox, Tim Warren votes, bulls come in. It's not how it works. The markets are volatile. The markets are frustrating. If you're done with them, okay, there's nothing I can do to make you stay. I get it, but I want to make sure you guys continue to zoom out before you freak out. As a whole, coins like Chainlink are still extremely bullish, even if we were to pull back down below $20 per coin. But I want to make sure I'm being honest and preparing you that until we get the confirmed breakout with this falling channel, you absolutely could come back down and touch some support to the downside down towards $19. So keep an eye on the more macro situation with that. But on shorter time frames, like the 4-hour chart, I'll kind of stay here. I don't think there's a lot of reason to go chase the 1-hour TA at this moment. But let's see what the 4-hour chart is telling us. Actually, a nice little surge right now on the 4-hour chart here for Chainlink as we are back up, kind of wrestling with that resistance. We're here at 2250. What do we have going on the 4-hour chart? We do have a green reversal, bullish momentum, and the money flow is trying to decide at the moment, do we want to make some big surge to the upside or we continue to the downside? It's a little early to make a for sure call here and try to enter anything. But if you are aggressive, you do want to enter it, this would give me a shorter term target up here back towards $23 into the smart trail. Other things I want to take a look at here, liquidity wise, you do have liquidations coming back here, pretty hefty liquidations back towards 2164 that weren't just put into effect this morning. These actually would have been put into effect during the crash on the 5th, where people longed the markets before that big breakout to the upside. Let me get a little more from the 1-hour chart here. It tells me more liquidity to watch out for. So, down here towards, 2135. There is a big level here at 2087. But if we begin to get a bullish push here, $25 is still a level to be watching. Why? Because there are some pretty hefty short liquidations that are in effect from way back here on September 18th to pay attention to. So watch the volume, watch the breakouts. Let's get some buy or sell signals confirmed on some of these lower time frames like the 1-hour and 4-hour, and you might have your good trajectory for a trade in the next couple of days. Support, watch back here towards 2137, resistance and levels to trade to the upside. Watch back up here towards 2550, give or take for Chainlink. Hopefully that helps you guys right there. Let's take a look at some other coins people are asking for. I know Daniel wanted to look at Tau and Render. How about Tau? I don't know if I'm going to do multiple requests from the same people, Daniel, but let's take a look at Tau and see what's going on here. This is one very similarly to Chainlink. Depending on how long you go, we are definitely in a falling channel since back on this support level on August the 3rd. So just like Chainlink, it doesn't have a failed breakout just yet, but you are trading in this downward channel that more often than not ends up breaking to the upside. By the way, I guess I didn't really mention that with Chainlink. Let me show you here. When you're in a channel like this, you take the opening of the volatility. If you get a confirmed breakout, you would put your target up here back towards $434 per coin. Coincidentally, that kind of puts you right around a longer term resistance trend from way back here all the way in May on the 12th. And we kind of been tracking a little bit of a symmetrical triangle pattern there. If that one gets broken, all of a sudden you have an even bigger wave there for BitTensor Tau. If this resistance is broken up here towards 434, now we're talking about a target longer term, probably end of year at best, if not into 2026, back up here towards 719. I say back. I don't know. I don't think that's back. I don't think BitTensor Tau has ever been. Okay, it has. All right. I could not remember what the all-time high for BitTensor Tau was. So back up closer towards all-time highs there would be the breakout prediction there for Tau. That being said, let's take a look at oscillators and liquidation, see what they're telling us about support, resistance, strength right now as a whole. Daily chart, overall, we're in a buy signal right now, right? Good reason to be bullish. Green reversal, bullish divergence, green dot, positive money flow. What's that resistance level kind of telling us? Yeah, kind of up here, up towards 382. Not all the way up towards this resistance level. We could get there with a nice stretch going on. 4-hour chart, going to give us some signals here as well. We did just recently touch the 4-hour smart trail here, either last night or early this morning. I think that was last night. We touched that 4-hour smart trail, confirming higher highs and higher lows. Very good sign there. And we look like we have some positivity coming in here with a green momentum dot and that money flow scooping back to the upside. So right now, Tau not looking too bad whatsoever. Big, strong support on the smart trail and the breaker block. Resistance, again, shorter term. If you are looking for like a scalp trade here, 354 is a target I would be watching for on that short term. But let's go a little more in depth here. Where are some liquidation spots to keep an eye on where maybe the whale manipulators are going to kind of target to shake people out? If we head to the downside, 310 looks very interesting right here. 310 has a lot of liquidity down to the downside. To the upside, 356 to about 366. It's going to be hard to see too much more than that. Let me kind of zoom out and see if anything else pops up. Not really. Let me go to 4-hour just to kind of recheck this. There we go. That's what I was looking for. 386. Big liquidity coming in here at 386 to the upside. So big targets there for Tau if you're looking to buy a little on a day trade or a scalp trade. Should we continue to see, again, 4-hour and daily chart both saying buy right now. So if you just want to turn your brain off for a second and trust the technical analysis and not wait for a breakout above this resistance, you could go and enter now and look for that move to the upside. I like to see confirmation before I do anything too crazy. But there's your TA for Tau today. Shrum and Smay, anything you guys are seeing in chat, other questions that we should answer here? I do think H. Bardano said that he probably deadlifts about 200 pounds. So very close to what I deadlift, but not quite there. I don't know if I should say my number or not.
You should say it, Tim. Come on.
How much you deadlift, Shrum?
Ooh. What did he say he did? 719 pounds?
Said, I think. 200.
200? I probably deadlift 159.
Good. That's a good weight. Listen, if you can deadlift your own weight, are you talking about just getting up out of bed? Is that what you're talking about?
Good one.
There we go.
All right. What's your number, Tim? Quit beating around the bush.
Yeah. Most recent, I don't do a whole lot of deadlifting recently. About 6 months ago, 575, I think was my number. Junior year of college, 725 was my all-time high. So if anyone in chat can beat 725, we operate on trust here, honesty. Kudos to you if you can do that. By the way, that reminds me here as people are going to do that. So we told you guys last week, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Here's the reason why you should be subscribed to the channel right now. Until we get back up to 20,000 subscribers, we're starting this channel over. We want to get up bigger. We're going to give $100 to one subscriber for every 1,000 new subscribers we get in the last week. Since announcing this, we are now up almost to 6,000. We're at 5,000, 750? 5,750 subscribers. So I'm going to make these announcements on Friday. I'll be by myself. Both Shrum and Smay will be out of town, but make sure you're here for Friday's show, because if you are subscribed and you comment, I am going to have people comment down below because we'll pick people from the comment section. By that time, I don't think it's crazy to think we get to 6,000 subscribers and have 6 giveaways to do this Friday. Every Friday, we'll assess how many new giveaways we have to do. Right now, it's 5, but let's get to 6,000 subscribers, and 6 of you could win $100. Make sure, though, you're subscribed to the channel and you're here on Friday. Stick around to the end of the show as well, because I'm not going to announce it till the end of the show. But there you go. That's how you're going to do that. Shrum, any questions you're seeing from chat?
It's Blue Mountain Fire raises an interesting point. It says, I've been 100% in crypto for 4 years, and I'm to the point where I have to take profits this year or I'll be living on credit cards. Don't be me. Okay. Take profits equals less stress.
Mm-hmm.
So my take on this is, there's definitely situations where you should not be investing in at all, right? If you don't have any money, you shouldn't be investing. So what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, so we've had this conversation a couple of times. I think it's good and a good reminder to kind of get into this. You know, on Monday's show, I closed it out and I let you guys know the future of what we want to do. Not that we were bad at this beforehand, but I want to be a lot more aggressive in reminding people that while we love talking crypto, we love talking stocks, we are a trading community that will teach people and grow our trading and investing knowledge together, because we want to see you financially free. We want to see you successful. I would love if every single person that watches this show learns enough to invest and trade to where they can quit their job, spend more time with their family, and do the things that they love and they feel like God made them to do, right? That's my goal and hope for everyone. But don't forget the dream because you're chasing the tool. Money, crypto, investing is simply a tool. It is not the end goal. The end goal is not to become an expert trader. The end goal is not to make $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion. I don't know if anyone in here is going to make $1 trillion. That's not the goal. The goal is to provide for your family, to create freedom, and to do the things that you were made to do to live the fullest life you're capable of. When you trade those end goals for the sake of investing, you've made a massive mistake. When you hurt your family, when you put yourself in financial ruin chasing a big bag, you miss the entire point. One of the best pieces of advice that we can ever give people, and this isn't really financial advice, it kind of is, I guess, but this isn't financial advice. Do what you want. This was advice given to me when I first started investing 5 years ago. Tim, go outside. Pretend you go outside and you find a big metal trash can. I want you to take your money. I want you to throw it in that trash can and light it on fire. Because that's what you're kind of doing when you're investing. Now, some of you are sitting here saying, that's absolutely scary, Tim. Why would I do that? The point of it is, do not invest a single dollar you cannot afford to lose. Losing any money sucks. That's just the point of it. Like, no one wants to lose money. But don't invest a single dollar that if you lost it would ruin you, hurt your family, or hurt anything about you as a whole. But maybe if you invest it correctly, that money that went into that trash can ends up becoming a whole lot more. For me, it was $5,000. I actually am probably going to talk more about this in a future content, but I started with a very mild $5,000. For some people, that's not a lot of money at all. For some people listening to this, you might be saying, Tim, I wish I could start with $5,000. It doesn't matter where you are. Start small, invest what you can afford, learn along the way, and that $5,000 is now turned into a hefty 6-figure income for myself, hefty 6-figure account for myself. That didn't happen by mistake. It happened by me doing it, learning along the way, making some mistakes, but also making sure I don't invest a single dollar I can afford to lose, because when you invest money that you lose would hurt you, you freak out, you become anxious, you go crazy, you hurt the people around you, and then you end up with absolutely nothing. No money, no family, no friends, no life. Do not make that mistake. If you have money invested right now that will cost you, get it out right now. Get it out right now. Do not wait for the next 10x. Do not wait for a massive bull run to come. You've made a mistake over investing. What I will tell you, if you can find a way to get your budget a little tighter and save a little bit more money that you dedicate towards investing, if you can find a way to pick up some extra income, drive Uber, find a small shift at some sort of job, create some sort of hustle, a skill that you have in life that you can help other people and charge them money, be my guest, make some more money, but do not go into your don't take your rent money, your mortgage money, your child's tuition money, and go and invest in crypto thinking you can make a fast buck and everything will be better. Play it safe, invest wisely, don't overinvest money you can't afford to lose, and spend time with people like us who will show you the ropes slowly but surely. It's not about making $1 million in a week. It's about making millions of dollars over a lifetime because you learn the proper, slow but sure principles to get yourself out of whatever trouble you're in. Long strip there, but I think it's overdue. I needed to say that. You are more important than your money. Do not ruin your life chasing a big bag. You'll lose everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's definitely things way more important. Money is just language. It's a tool. Yeah. It's a way to measure the value of things. It is definitely not the end all be all. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael says, buy the Kita dip, stacking a little bit at a time while it's cheap. Kita is one I haven't done a whole lot of research into. Crux, you're in here in chat. Kita, have you done has Crux done a deep dive on Kita just yet?
Oh yeah. He's done a bunch of videos on it.
Yeah. In case you guys are newer to the channel wondering, we discuss a good amount here. We don't just discuss Bitcoin, although we do discuss Bitcoin in almost every single live show. We don't just discuss our favorite altcoins like Chainlink and others. We discuss a good amount. But we are about trading and investing here, looking at the markets, looking at the news, picking a handful of coins to track and stay on top of. We don't chase every new coin out there. But something that Shrum and I decided years ago, we said, you know what? There's a massive desire in our audience for fundamental analysis on not just the top coins, but doing deep dives into newer coins and finding out if they're good investments or not. And that is what brought on Crux of Crypto to our team. Some of you already subscribed to his channel. That is our brother channel, sister channel, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you're also subscribed to his content because while he's not going to go in and do all the technical analysis and study the news that comes in every single day like we do, he does go into very important deep dives in the fundamentals to let you understand better, is this coin a good investment or a bad investment? Which coin is possibly better at long-term fundamental futures? And hey, these new coins popping up all over the place that are doing 600% rallies in a week, are they legit here for the long term, or is this another pump and dump? If you have those questions, I'll do the best I can to answer them, but that's not my field of expertise. Neither is it Shrum's. That's where Crux of Crypto is here, and we started a whole nother channel dedicated to that content called Crux of Crypto. Go subscribe right now. You will not regret it. He's at 3,500. Let's get both of us to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the week, and maybe some more giveaways happen. But go subscribe to Crux of Crypto right now. Dips for Buying says, I have a very important question. And anytime someone says they have a very important question, that's how you know it's a very important question. Is that a real plant in the background? I'm not allowed to say if that's a real plant in the background.
Does the plant have intrinsic value?
It's a real plant in the sense of it's really there, and it's a plant. Is it organic? Is that soil in the pot?
What is the underlying value of the plant?
I'd have to dig at the receipt. I don't know. Yeah. Does the plant need water? In a way, don't we all need water, Daniel?
What blockchain is the plant tokenized on?
All right. Dips Ryan says, Crux videos are awesome and Fundamental Fridays are legit. I forgot about that. Yeah, he has Friday. I always forget to announce it because it does it in our Discord. Yeah, after every Friday show, he has a Friday Fundamental. So It's not just go watch his content. You can go and watch him answer your questions every single Friday right after our live shows over in our Discord. So even if you don't want to spend money on us, right? I would love for you guys to spend money in our group, learn with us, be a part of it, help build this team that we have. I don't even know how many people work with us right now, but a lot of people working with us right now, trying to build and help people learn about investing every single day. Every time you subscribe to our VIP trading group or use one of our sponsorships, like our exchanges, like BloFin, our other exchanges like Breakout. If you want to learn how to prop trade firm, go check out Breakout. Anytime you use any of our items, it helps benefit not only us and our families, but build our community to train you guys more. But I understand not everyone wants to spend money on that. That's okay. We have a free Discord. A lot of stuff happens in there. One of these happens in that free Discord. From time to time, we have live Q&As. One of them, Fundamental Fridays with Crux of Crypto. So go check out the Discord. Even if you don't want to spend a single dime, click on the free Discord and be aware of what's happening in the Tim Warren group every single day. Fundamental Fridays is a small, close-knit group. Lots of alpha, says Michael S. Absolutely. Guys, drop a 1 in chat if you guys are already in the Discord. And then after one, tell people, do you recommend it or do you not recommend it? Was it a waste of your time to join our free Discord? I won't critique. We won't silence or let. If you say it's terrible time, tell people it was a terrible time. That is completely okay with me.
We got to take a look at this, Tim. We got some breaking news here on the back. Divided Fed officials saw another 2 interest rate cuts by the end of 2025. Minutes show. Okay. So they did release the minutes. We were very confused about this.
Yeah.
And let me say, I'm sure we are not the most confused and frustrated group out there, because people that deal with the military and derive all of their income from government contracts are probably much more frustrated. But we were searching far and wide to figure out where the heck are these Fed minutes, because they were supposed to print. And our conclusion was, because of the government shutdown, they must not have printed them. Go over to my screen really quickly. I think this would be worth covering. Fed officials in September were strongly inclined to lower interest rates, with the only dispute seeming to be over how many cuts were coming. Meeting minutes released Wednesday showed the dot plot of individual members' expectations showed the group split 10-9, with the slim majority expecting 2 more cuts before the end of the year. Officials grew concerned with the state of the labor market, which they saw as weakening as upside threats to inflation continued, though they still expected it to ease back to the Fed's 2% target rate. So, of course, there's a lot more information than that, but the headline CNBC is running with bullish is that we'll have another 2 by the end of 2025. Now, that's what Polymarket has been thinking for a long time. If you go look over there, but
do you have that dot plot pulled up? Is that potentially something we could look at?
I do not, and that is a deep grab.
Yeah. My next question, my assumption is that in the 10-9, 10 people are saying at least 2 cuts. Some of them might be saying more. 9 are saying not 2 cuts, only 1 or 0. And when I say cuts, by the way, in increments of 25 basis points. We only have 2 more opportunities for cuts. So do we have some people thinking we should cut by 75 basis points all the way to 100 basis points, versus do we have 9 people saying no, only 25 or 0, or maybe some of them are saying, no, guys, inflation's in trouble. We need to raise rates. It'll be interesting to see how it happens. The good news is,
all right, I've got the dot plot.
I think that current rating at that current vote, like that article says, at the moment in time that they're voting today, we're getting more rate cuts. Let's let things play out. We have inflation numbers. We have unemployment numbers that will still come out over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. I don't know if you have that information right in front of you, Shrum. What is the next big announcement? What day is the next big announcement between inflation and unemployment?
That's the one I don't know.
Put you on the spot.
But
okay.
the Fed decision is going to be at the end of the year, the end of October, excuse me.
Yes.
I believe it's 28th or the 29th. But yeah, according to the dot, I have the dot plot pulled up here. This could potentially answer some questions you had. 2025 is what the arrow's pointing to. You have Stephen Mirren's vote down here. This is where 2025 would close. So it's a little, you kind of have to just throw out the outlier here.
Okay.
They believe
the majority of the 9 of those 10 are saying only 50 basis point cuts total. You got one guy calling for, what is that? 125?
Right. It'd be 275. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
2.75. Yeah. So, it's expected to continue lower into 2026, and it was generally revised lower from the previous statement of economic projections, which does not come out with every decision. So
that does remind me, Shrum. This is going to be interesting. Dips for Buying says, will CPI release during a shutdown? Remember, Trump did announce that during the shutdown, they would not release unemployment data. I would imagine if they're not going to release unemployment data, they're not going to release the CPI data either.
Yeah, I think anything from the BLS is not going to be reported. That's why I was surprised when I couldn't find the minutes earlier today from the Fed, because the Fed is a different funding source. They're self-funded, whereas the BLS is in the congressional schedule of funding. And apparently every other agency lives paycheck to paycheck, setting a great example for its citizens. Not surprised from the BLS, but
Very interesting stuff. Guys, that's going to wrap up our show here today. If you enjoyed it, make sure to do two things. Smash the like, hit the subscribe. We love you guys so much. Friday, someone was asking in chat earlier, when do I comment on a video to be entered for a giveaway? Friday's live show, it will be me by myself. A lot of fun. I get into a lot of trouble when I do it by myself, but it's going to be fun. Come in, comment on that video, not just the live chat, comment afterwards. You'll be entered for that giveaway. Guys, even though it's Wednesday, a lot of times you hear this kind of talk on the weekends, but don't wait for the weekends to go live your life and touch some grass and see your family. One of the saddest things I see is children who they have no relationship with their fathers. And I realize we have a lot of mothers in here that are watching. If you're a mother, we are so glad you're here. If you're a woman, we're so glad you're here. I don't want crypto to be just a sausage fest of guys here, but I'm under no delusion. It's like 90-something% of our viewers are men. Of that, a good percentage of you guys are probably fathers, or you have some sort of father role in somebody's life. Men need men in their lives. Young boys need men in their lives. Do not bury yourself in the charts. Don't bury yourself in your work. What are all those things for? They're there for your family. Go touch some grass. Go affect someone's life for good. Even those of you who are struggling yourself right now, I understand right now this is a stressful time, stressful world we live in. Well, I think that money could get better. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, stress will not go away. Problems will not go away. Anxiety, if you're struggling with it, will not go away. But you want to know one of the greatest things you can do if you're struggling right now with anxiety, with stress? It's not medication. It's not go and spend more time with yourself. When you get your views and your eyes off of yourself and you look at other people and you care about other people and you give yourself for the betterment of other people, the greatest therapy in the world is stop thinking about yourself and go think about somebody else. And watch a lot of your problems be solved. Men, go take care of some young boys out there that need a good fatherly, manly role model in their lives, because I want to see the world become a better place monetarily. But if men stop standing up and being men, we're going to have a big problem in the future of this world. Love you guys. We'll see you Friday. Adios.